The enemy attacks the purposes of God. Even now, you're in God's will, you're in God's purposes, he'll attack you. Go to the Temple Mount today, and you will find on the Temple Mount is a dome of a rock, a Muslim, right on where the Holy of Holies may have been, right on there. Why? Because you can't build with that thing on there. On the eastern side of the Temple Mount, the Golden Gate, through which Messiah is going to enter, and you have a reproduction of it right on that corner there. It's all walled up. Why? Because a Muslim ruler said, who told the Messiah is coming, we're going to wall it up. When you go to the Temple Mount, they're getting a little looser, but they don't even allow you to pray there. Like, why is the enemy so? Why is it so much? Why? Can't pray, can't open up a Bible. I always try to nevertheless get the Aaronic blessing in without them arresting me. One time I thought, because we got kicked off once, but one time I was there. This is not in the notes. I get a little looser on the second service. One time I was gonna pray, and all of a sudden, because usually they're watching all over everything you do, and they're all gone. All the Islamic authorities are gone, and we didn't know what happened. Turned out somebody from our group, a lady, one of the buses, ran up the Temple Mount waving an Israeli flag. They all got distracted. I gave the blessing. So he said, from now on, we got to have somebody running up with that. No. Why is the enemy so sensitive about that Temple Mount? Because of what is coming. Coming. And so all this that happened was triggered by the Temple Mount. It triggered all this hell, fury against Israel, linked to Iran. The war, funded by, but linked to the Temple Mount by Iran here. You see, the enemy will always seek to attack the purposes of God, to prevent it, stop them, hinder them. Now think about what happened in Daniel 10. Think about what happened one chapter before it, Daniel 9. Daniel had just received the great prophecy of the 77s, the coming of Messiah, with the exact countdown to when Messiah is going to come mathematically, and when the temple's coming, and all the end times right there in Daniel 9. He got in. We don't know there was any resistance. He said he was praying. The angel came, gave it to him. But it's almost like the forces of hell said, that one got through and look what happened. So now we're going to stop the next one. The enemy seeks that. And the revelation now, so it comes with a lot of fighting, from Daniel 10 all the way to the end of the book, it comes from this. That was fought over by the principality. And here now Israel is back, and all hell is against it, and particularly Persia. And here's the thing. It's not just that the enemy is against Israel. The enemy is against you. The enemy has against you. Not only does God have a purpose for Israel, that's why the enemy is against it, but God has a purpose for your life. So the enemy is against. God has a purpose behind your life, ahead of your life, from the time you were conceived, even before that, he knew it. And the enemy knows about it. He doesn't know everything, but he knows about it. And he'll do anything he can to stop God's purposes from happening in your life. He'll seek to delay them, hinder them, preempt them, prevent them, distract from them. Not only will he has done it. He has already been doing it. God says, I know the plans I have for you. The enemy also has an idea of those plans. He knew God's plan for Moses, at least for a time. That's why he tried to kill him as a baby, before it can happen. He knew God's plan for Joseph. That's why he tried to have his brothers kill him before it could happen. He knew God's plan for Jeremiah to a degree. He had him arrested, could have tried to have him killed. He knew God's plan for the Messiah to a degree, tried to have Herod kill him when he was a baby so he could stop it all. He knew God's plan for Israel. And so for 2,000 years and more, he's been trying to have them wiped off the earth. He's been trying to nullify them. Now, he tried to do it with you before you knew the Lord. If you were not brought up with him, he tried to do it. He tried to keep you from the Lord. So your purposes can never be fulfilled. For some of you, he literally tried to kill you. For me, I was hit by a train. Now, I knew God was in that, but the enemy's, God, could be the same thing. Enemy, if he could have wiped me out, wiped you out, he would have done it. Some of you, he had you become self-destructive so you could do it. Some of you, he had you addicted to substances, drugs, alcohol, pornography, sexual immorality. Some of you, he tried to wound you, break you as a child so you could not fulfill the purposes. Some of you, he tried to defile, taint you, make you bitter, make you in doubt, make you ashamed so you couldn't even believe that God could ever use you. Some of you, he sought to misdirect you, give you idols instead of God so you could redirect the gift that God had for you and use it for something else. And most likely you had no idea at the time. You just took it as your life. That's what happened. This is my life. You didn't realize it was the enemy trying to stop you, trying to stop all those plans that God knew he had for you. It was your own prince of Persia. A number of years ago, I was talking to Eric Stackelbeck, who's a good brother. He's on TBN. He was here, journalist who's been used to tell the world about what's happening in the Middle East. He told me before he came to the Lord, he was shot, a gunshot. And in his side, he was hospitalized. And he was it was the low point of his life. And he says, I know the Lord now, but I never understood why this happened. Why? I said, Eric, you were called to be used of God's purposes. You were called to, as a journalist, to touch all these lives of people. The enemy was trying to stop it before it happened. I just saw him recently. He was interviewing me on TBN, and he told me more. He said it was within 12 hours of him getting shot that he got the phone call giving him his first job to become a journalist. He said 12 hours. And he said the bullet was right next to a critical vein. It would have easily killed him. It was the Prince of Persia in his life. He didn't realize it then. He realizes it now. You may not have realized it when those things were happening, but that's what it was. See, God will work all things in your life out for good. The enemy will try to work out all things in your life for bad. God will use it all. The enemy attacks the purposes of God. Even now, if you're in God's will, you're in God's purposes, he'll attack you. Just because you're getting attacked doesn't mean it's not. It can be that you are. The enemy uses obstacles for you. The enemy tries to block the plans, tries to wall up the golden gate in your life. Put the dome of the rock, a substitute right on where God wants you to be or what he has for you. When the angel came to Daniel, he mentioned what the principality tried to do. He's saying, this is why I'm late. You know, when you're late, you want to explain it. So the angel says, listen, I'm sorry, I'm late, but traffic jam. It was a principality, But then he got right on with the purposes. So remember that. It's not about the attacks on your life. It's about the plans on your life. Let the attacks focus you all the more on the plans. Get on with it. The enemy is okay if you want to focus on him your whole life. We are to be aware of him. That's what Paul said. But we're not to be dwelling on him. Because when you're dwelling on him, you're not fulfilling the plans. So get on with it. Even in the middle of an attack, get on with the plans. Don't just focus on the attack. Get on with the plans. The attack is about the plans. Hi, I'm Jonathan Cahn, and I hope you were blessed with the video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. Feel free to share your reactions with your comments and how you were blessed, and share this video with your friends. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.